3 candidates right now, and I have not heard from them, and I don't think Crystal has either. But it's time to go ahead and get started. And when they come in, we'll get them situated and we'll go. Today, we are scheduled for 2 hours. So we're starting at 4:30 and we're going to end promptly at 6:30. Okay? The other thing, this is the first time that we have handed out note cards. Now you have a choice. You can speak into the microphone and ask your question, or you can simply hold your card up. My partner, Ed Varcho over here, will be around the room with the microphone. If you prefer to ask your question, that's terrific. The thing that you have to keep in mind for everybody to be able to hear you, you have to talk directly into these mics. If you hold it down here, it does not work. You have to have it up here. Now we do have wipes, and we will be wiping down the microphones. Ed does not let go of his microphone. He will hold it up. If you prefer not to speak into the mic, give him your card and he will read your question. I want to personally thank Dawn, Tony, and Debbie for being here. And I see somebody moving forward. And Ken has just joined us. All you have to do is, once we get started, raise your card up and Ed Varcho will get it from you. Okay? Okay, this is terrific. We have a full house, and to the candidates, again, we all want to thank you for running for our Property Owners Association board. That's a big decision. Yes. And to the audience, I think you should give yourself a round of applause for being here and taking the time. Yeah. We all care about Rose Hill, and it's important to take a role. We're going to start this afternoon, and I'm going to start with Debbie, and I'm going to ask each of the candidates to tell you why they decided to run for the Rose Hill Property Owners Association Board of Directors. So Debbie, if you would start, please.
Sure, I've always been a person who wants to make a difference in the community that they're part of. And we just moved to, is that better?
Talk to the back of the room.
I said that I love being part of a community and making a difference in that community, whatever that is that I'm a part of. And we just moved here last year, and I enjoy Rose Hill so much, and I thought, why not make a difference as where I can and how I can. And when this arose, I did step up and say, I'm here, I'm available, and I have a skill set that you're welcome to use if you'd like to have me. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
My name is Ken Stratty, and I've been a resident here of Rose Hill for the last 4 years. When we got here, I saw that the golf course was in disarray, and since we've been here, everything at Rose Hill has seemed to get better as we've gone along year after year. And I think through my business experience, I can offer a lot of input to the board as far as business goings on and how to basically negotiate with outside vendors and such. And I would like to, again, make a difference here also at Rose Hill by donating my time to whatever needs to be done to help the community.
My name is Anthony Romagino. Everyone here can call me Tony. That's far simpler. I moved to Rose Hill. We closed in August, and I moved down in November. I recently retired after a career with UPS. For over 25 years, I worked in the World Technology Headquarters. I've been involved in volunteerism pretty much my entire life from the time I was 15. My grandfather inspired me to get involved in the community. And when I worked for UPS always believed in giving back to the community. I have every possible position that's ever been done on any board. I've been the president of organizations, I've been the guy cleaning the floors in organizations, and I believe in teamwork. My wife's sitting in the front row, Mariam. We have a beautiful family, and we've purchased our forever home in this beautiful community of Rose Hill. Over the last 9 years, I've been searching for a community to live in, and just tremendous. This place is beautiful. I'm blessed to live here, and I want to be all your friends. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to run for this spot.
Hi, my name's Jeff Bender, or Jeffrey, whichever you prefer. I'm also, with my wife, a recent community member. We moved here last May. The reason I'm running is threefold. One is I'm recently retired and needs something to do with my energies. Second, my wife and I are horse owners. And we were told, I have no corroboration on this, that we've not been many horse owners on the board. And we wanted to bring a horse owner's perspective. The third reason is my wife and I were talking about this, and she said, you should do it. And I always do what my wife tells me to do.
Hi everyone in the back. I'm just gonna stand one time so everyone who didn't see me before can see me now for what it's worth. I'm Dawn Burke, happy to be here today. I'm gonna take this off and put it back on because I'm not quite yet 55 and older, and so I don't have my vest. And welcome. Again, I'm Dawn Burke, and I'm happy to be here. The Burkes have been in Rose Hill going on 16, 17 years. We bought the lot 17 years ago, and my husband, who has an engineer background, said, I want to build a house. We were engaged at the time, and lucky for us, our engagement survived 1 year of being builders at Rose Hill, which many of you know, you can be your own builder. And so we survived that and are on the heels of our 16th year anniversary next month. I am running for the board. You can't hear me? Yeah, I am running for the board. Is that better? I am running for the board, as my bio says, for three main reasons. But the main reason really is that, as it says in there, I believe this is a service position. And I believe that the directors serve at the discretion and the pleasure of the residents. It's not a concierge service, don't get me wrong. But it is a position of service. And I believe that there is room for improvement in that position of service, as it has to do with transparency, as it has to do with having the residents' voice at the decision-making table regarding financially prioritized projects, and the overall resident voice for the other decisions that are made in Rose Hill. I think that can be improved, and I think this is the year, with such a diverse pool of people, with such energy and motivation and tons of feedback, that we can get it done, and that's why I'm running.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? It's a little low for me. My name's Dan Utley. As you guys may have read, lifelong resident of Bluffton. Only time I didn't live in town was when I was in school. So, known the area, seen it grow. Rose Hill's been in Bluffton and a part of Bluffton for 30 plus years now, and it's always had a great reputation of a wonderful place to live. When my wife and I were deciding where we wanted to move as our family grew, we saw a place where we bought in Rose Hill and just knew that that was the best choice for our family, and we just loved how welcoming and open the community was, people waving, friendly, and a lot of the reason I ran for the board with the changing dynamics of the neighborhood, the amount of people moving in from other parts of the country, I wanted that to be maintained. And I think similar to what Dawn said, with some things that I felt like could improve on the board, I think the biggest thing in any business is communication, whether you're the manager, the CEO, or the guy sweeping floors, like Tony. We got to have really good, clear communication to the members of the neighborhood, try to be partners in this whole process of living in this wonderful place, and that's what I'm trying to bring by running to the board, before the board. Thank you.
I should have said this earlier, folks. If you have a cell phone or another electronic device, please put it on mute so that our candidates aren't interrupted by your tone. A few ground rules. This is a question and answer format. It's not a forum. It's not a debate. We're not here to air complaints. We want to know what these people are thinking about issues in Rose Hill. And we get that information by listening to what they have to say. Your job this afternoon is to ask a question. I'm going to ask you to use language that is in question form. And I will ask the candidates, when you give your answers, stay on point and phrase your answer in the form of an answer. Again, this is a question and answer format. Third, in order to be heard, please raise your hand and I will acknowledge you. You get to ask your question, and you can ask a follow-up question as long as the follow-up question pertains to what you initially asked. It can't be a completely separate question. In the 2 hours that we have, or a little less than that right now, we want to make sure that everybody has a chance. If you would prefer not to talk into the microphone, if you will simply raise the card, Ed Varcho will come around, take your card, and ask your question for you. You've noticed here that when you talk into the microphone, if you don't hold it close to your mouth, you're not going to be heard in the back of the room. So you really do need to speak into the mic. And last but not least, Dawn has been on the board extremely briefly, but everybody else has not served on the Rose Hill board. So they're not yet members of the board, can only answer questions as to what they would do if elected. They cannot speak for the board, and we shouldn't ask them to do that. So questions should be like, what would you do if you were elected to the board, and then bring your issue into that. I'm going to start things off. And I have told the candidates, each time we get a new question, I'll pick a different person to start with their answer and we'll move around. So, with this one, here's my question to you. And I'm gonna let Dan go first on this one, okay? We'll just run it the other way this time. Dan, in the past year, either in person or electronically, how many of the following have you attended? POA Board of Directors meetings, POA Board of Directors work session, or a POA committee meeting? We're just talking in the last year.
Last year. I would say I've attended 3 virtually of the POA board meetings, just kind of listening in and see what I could hear. And see
Talk
the
to
updates.
these guys, not
Sorry,
to me.
and seeing what the updates were. It hadn't been a ton with the work schedule with COVID and things have been crazy as it is for everybody, but I was able to attend, I think 3 in the past year would be what I was able to do, so. But I learned a lot, you know, seeing how things operate and seeing where we can make improvements for sure.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Dawn?
2020, I believe I attended 4 virtual meetings and 2 work sessions. And then I just attended the one in February, if I'm not mistaken, 4 and 2. But I think that, 2020 has taught us a lot of things. And one of that is it's opened up possibilities such as having work sessions and meetings more accessible. I, as you see in my bio, manage offices in Savannah and Georgia for my company. Also have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and the demographics of Rose Hill has changed tremendously. I think the last survey showed about 423 people classify themselves as...
Dawn, I'm gonna thank you for your answer.
Okay, I'll wrap up quickly. I'm sorry, I'm also a lawyer, so I haven't quite learned how to be succinct. But what I'm getting at is that some of us have attended more sessions than others. But we were able to get through 2020 with doing lots of Zoom sessions, and I think that should be the practice moving forward. Our committees should be opened up to being via Zoom, all of the work sessions and the board meetings if possible. There would need to be a cutoff for issues of sensitive matter, but there's no reason why we can't have more working people have access to the going-ons of Rose Hill.
Okay. Jeffrey, do you need the question repeated?
I think I remember.
Good.
I've not attended any meetings in person since they've all been virtual since I've lived here. I've attended 3 or 4 virtual board meetings, and I've also been to a couple equestrian committee meetings and a couple meetings to plan for the polo match next spring.
Okay, thank you.
So we closed in August. Since that time, I've been to 3 virtual meetings, and I'm also on the Rules and Regs Committee. And out of those, I did 2 out of the 3.
Ken?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to say I attended 0. I have not been to any of the virtual or in person, but at this point in time, I'm running for this board in order to get more involved in the community. And if I'm elected to the board, I will be very active with the board and the community.
And I was in the process of moving here in March of 2020, so we closed on our home in 2020, and as part of that, I was responsible for turning over the reins of a nonprofit that I started up in Ohio. So I missed a couple of the board meetings. I was able to attend 2 of the Zoom board meetings because of the conflict there. That's all been transferred, so I have no responsibilities there anymore. And then 0 working sessions.
You folks get a follow-up question after your initial question. You get 1 follow-up question. This will be my follow-up question. Obviously, we're talking about participation here. And with this one, I'm going to start with Ken, and we're going to come the other way. In the past year, what Rose Hill community activities have you helped organize or you have attended?
Okay, in the last year, again, I have not participated in organizing any community activities or participated in any. I've been busy running back and forth between here and New York. And again, right now, my life has gotten to the point where it's a lot more calmer and I can be a lot more active in our community.
Thank you. Tony?
So, as I said previously, I'm on the Rules and Regs Committee. I haven't been to any Rose Hill events, but,
But you are gonna sign up for golf? I
yes.
heard that, okay.
Yes. And possibly pickleball and, I enjoyed the sites at Carlton Point, it's just beautiful. You guys that have had the pleasure of living here for over 19 and 20 years, you live in a blessed place. So, as for events, none, only the Rules and Regs Committee, and that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Jeffrey.
The only activities I participated in has been planning for the polo match, which is gonna be spring 2022.
Okay, Dawn?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that polo match. So I've been pretty active in 2020. I think that there was an obvious void for activities. Well, there was a need and a safe need for it. I'm one of the moms people. I organized the Kids Bike Club, which I did from June through August in the summer of 2020. I then passed that on to a lovely teenager who's running that now for a position of leadership, which is great. I organized the Kids Bake Sale in collaboration with other moms, Elizabeth Jill Beth and Mary Lang, who's here. We also wrote cards to the folks at the nursing home nearby, and we raised, with your help, over $1,200 for Bluffton Self-Help. I also helped organize the Christmas parade in collaboration with Maria, who you all know. I also worked with the Toys for Tots and spearheaded that along with Sherry and her wonderful book program. And there were a couple other activities that I'm sure you all attended and participated, which I had the pleasure of being involved with. Not just as an organizer, what I want to point out from that is the ability to work with other people in a team building environment for the benefit of Rose Hill.
Thank you, Dawn.
Man, Dawn, you missed one. You missed one. You spearheaded the collection for Crystal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and that was big.
Thank you.
Great job.
All right. Well, not going to be nearly as long. So in April of 2020, when COVID was really kind of getting everybody down, I started the DJ block party. We held it at our house, and I had a DJ come in, and he just worked for tips basically. We had a big, music fest, dance party outside of our home for the whole summer. We participated in the soccer camp that was held last summer here for all the young kids in the neighborhood, and the trunk or treat and Halloween was great, and we also did that. One thing I did myself with my wife is my family, like I said, from here we do a lot of farming, so we grow a bunch of watermelons and we sold those for the neighborhood or offered them to the neighborhood for sale and organized pickup and everything. So, just little things around here and there.
Thanks to everyone here, and now it's your turn. Oh, I'm sorry. And of course, my wife is the one that caught me on that, right?
No, I get that. Thank you. Yes, we've participated, my husband and I, in several things that have been offered to us. Charlie's a huge pickleball player, so all the pickleballers out there, not too many? Okay, sorry. But that's an up and coming, so we need to really keep that going. Tennis and stuff like that, and we've also just ordered our golf cart, so we'll be joining into the golf cart community as well, getting connected there. And Bill Baker Park is phenomenal. I love walking up there. Some of you have probably seen me up there walking and just having conversations with y'all. And then I live on Club Gate, So, I don't know if there's any club gators in the room, but we try to get together and do something at least once a month. And it's fun, you know, to connect with each other, social distanced and on all that right now because of COVID, but, yeah, I'm loving getting to know the people of Rose Hill in different capacities and jumping in and joining in where things are already happening, which is always nice too.
Thank you. It's your turn. The gentleman with the blue mask on.
The question is, have you read the Rose Hill Covenants?
Okay, we're gonna start with Dawn.
Yes.
Jeffrey.
Yes.
Tony.
Yes.
Ken.
Some of them.
Debbie.
Yes, and they're on my phone right now. So.
Dan.
Yes.
Is there a follow-up?
We have a follow-up question. Have you read the POA rules and regs?
Yes.
Okay, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Ken.
No.
Debbie.
Yes, sir.
Dan.
Yes.
Dawn.
Yes, qualifier for all of these, I have not memorized them. Though it's with me in my bag, and I think we should all reference them when the issue comes up, but we need not walk around, you know, acting like we memorized them.
Ed. Next.
All right, Mary has a question. It's Mary. Okay, and the question is, have you read South Carolina Section 33-31 governing nonprofits and South Carolina Section 27-30 regarding HOA?
Tony.
Absolutely not.
Ken.
Negative.
Debbie.
No, but I do know Ohio's.
Jeffrey.
We set up a nonprofit when we moved here, so I've read those, but not the ones regarding the HOA.
Dawn.
I have skimmed them, yes.
Dan.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Ed, I got someone up here.
Okay. This guy is
Oh. Should I tell him now to keep it short?
First of all, I wanted to thank you for doing what you do and volunteering. This is how-
And, excuse me, one other thing I should have said, this is on me. When you stand up to ask your question, and especially for you, your name and your address.
Bruce Clemens, I live at 9 Spartina Crescent.
Thank you, Bruce.
But again, this is wonderful. It's wonderful that we have all the candidates here that are willing to help. We need that. Okay, my question is, it's a business here. You know, we have to think about profitability. We have to think about raising money. In addition to, and Rose Hill is very unique in that we have the tennis center, we have we have the equestrian center, we have a lot of potential moneymakers. If you wanted to have anything else to make or change any of the moneymakers to improve them, what would it be? And how would you do it?
How would you do it is the follow-up. What would you change in terms of POA moneymakers is the
Yes.
question. Okay, Debbie, I'm gonna start with you on that one.
Yeah, probably the first step, being new to the board, I would definitely need to take a look at what are the current contracts that each one of those entities is under, and taking a look at those documents and discerning from there what we would need to adjust, you know, whether it's a rent that needs to be adjusted or, God forbid that we have to refund them something, you know, but we definitely would need to take a look at that and see. I would also want to take a look at and see what buildings are empty that aren't being used for the profit of Rose Hill, and see how we can use those as well.
Okay, Dan, we're gonna start with you and then we'll go right down the line.
Over back. Yeah, I agree with the previous sentiments. We need to make sure we're looking at the contracts, looking at the rent being paid, you know, all of these facilities within Rose Hill, the golf course, the equestrian center, the tennis club, you know, they're all on our grounds, right? What are we benefiting from them being here besides just access? And I think that's important. We need to be able to make sure we're maximizing the benefit and the relationship we have with them. The other thing could be partnering with the amenities committee or the committees looking at upgrading and updating the pools. How can we make them in such a way that they could also benefit the neighborhood with profitability? Meaning that, you know, if we're gonna update Wood Eden swimming pool, you know, we're at a level where we could totally afford to have a pool bar or a pool grill there where members of the community can go in, hang at the pool with their families, have food, drink served, not have to go home and leave and eat lunch, stay there. Use that facility to bring back and put back into the neighborhood a nice facility they're able to use. So that's just one idea I have as well, on top of updating the contracts and making sure all agreements are up to par.
Thanks, Dan. Dawn?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Debbie and Dan just said. I would also add, you know, in looking at the profit loss for 2020, December 2020 statement, looking at that to see where there might be opportunities, we made approximately $170,000 in the gate fees. That is a low impact, high reward fee or line item, so to speak. We all know that Lowe's and Home Depot and so forth pay a fee to come in. You know, stay with me on this, but Sea Pines charges every car that comes into their community. We are not Sea Pines. But are we the Sea Pines of Bluffton? No. Let's think about it. We are the only public golf facility that has tennis, a restaurant, and golf. I called the gate, and I'll be quick. I'll call the gate just for quick data before I came here. And they generate at least 80 to 100 passes a day for golf. Maybe even 30 or 40 for tennis, for TLC, and a smaller number for the restaurant. Does it make sense for a $5 a week gate pass? We just increased our assessment by $100. Times that by about 980 homes, it's about $96,000. That's not even close to the $165,000 we made last year in the gate fee. If we can charge $5 for a weekly pass, by those numbers, we could double or triple that. So again, out the box, all ideas should be considered. But do we have benefits, unique benefits that we currently offer the community that we can capitalize on, that does not involve constructing a building, which is great, but it takes longer, building something, again, it takes longer, but a simple thing like a gate pass, that's just what, a cent to print off on a computer. So food for thought, but all ideas should be on the table.
Okay. Jeffrey?
Well, I wish I had something to add to these ideas. I have read the profit and loss statement, and for those who haven't, it seems to me we get zero revenue now for the POA from the golf course and from the equestrian center. And I don't know all the reasons for this, but it's something we'd have to look into.
Tony?
Thank you, Jack. I don't have any new ideas in revenue streams. I have been thinking, I'm a short timer here, so I have been thinking about trying how to generate more revenue from the gate fees. And from what Dawn has just stated, very interesting, how many people come play golf, even a $5 assessment to that, to every
Talk
car.
to these guys.
Yes, it's true. A $5 fee at the gate, just play golf, it'd be great. And that's all I have to offer at the moment.
Okay. Ken?
Well, I agree with my counterparts on looking at all the statements and contracts that we have that may need to be negotiated. But I also think in order to increase our revenue, we may want to put on some community events, maybe a golfing event for the community that would benefit the POA, or a special dinner night here in order to promote the clubhouse and dinner. But other than that, I think at this point, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything else because I don't have any idea of what contracts that we have, when they're coming up, or, basically when we can renegotiate.
Yes, I was a bit disappointed. No one mentioned the mansion, and I want to hear what your approach to the mansion would be.
I mentioned empty buildings, and that would be one. We'd have to take a look at what that particular building, family-wise, who owns it, what's going on with it. So that would be under that umbrella that I mentioned, the empty
Let's
building.
just come down the table then, Ken.
My recollection of the mansion at this point in time, it seems as though it needs a lot of work. It needs some money to be put into it. And as far as getting use out of it, I can foresee maybe weddings there and such in the future, but you'd have to take a look at what it would cost to get that facility back into good working condition.
Thank you, Ken.
The mansion's beautiful. Weddings, outdoor weddings, potentially. But you always have to remember, when you open up yourself to the public and mass amounts of people coming into community, you're gonna live with a little, maybe displeasure in your community. You may be afraid of potential break-ins. You could be afraid of disorderly people, drunken after the wedding. You as community members, you'd have to weigh, the pros and cons of that, and that's it.
I don't know if the POA owns the mansion or it's privately owned. It says privately owned, so I don't know what choice we have or any control over this mansion.
So when we're looking to raise money, I think we should have a everything on the table approach, and then strategically look at everything on the table and see what makes sense and what does not make sense. I mean, we didn't get to the moon by saying we can't get to the moon. But so I am in favor of looking at the possibilities for the mansion. I think it's also one of the things that's on the long-range planning committee list of items to ask the board about. As we know, there's about a $2.5 million foreclosure potential with it. I see this as a long-range planning option, not a short range like a quick turnaround on a weekly, gate pass. But our bylaws, I think it's section 9.6, does talk to the options for the mansion, including weddings, including event venues and so forth. And so it's already there. Now, what's not in there is if the POA can actually run the mansion. The POA cannot run businesses. We can't run golf. We can't run the clubhouse. The mansion is not listed, and that's probably because we never owned it. So that would need to be addressed. If we were to purchase the mansion, we would need to amend our bylaws as to what the POA can do with the mansion. But I think we should think outside the box and then have pros and cons and realistically see what can be done. What we do know is that lots of people are coming to Rose Hill right now, whether we want them to or not. And we've got gate issues with that. And so, at the very least, let's start charging them.
Thank you, Dan.
You're good. Much has been said about the fact that we don't own the mansion, right? So I think that's something that first needs to be addressed. I think Don referenced 2.5. I saw on Zillow a number of 3.4. Who knows how accurate that is? Either way, it's under the bank's control right now. So I think that's the first hurdle to cross. But once that hurdle does get crossed, when you look at this neighborhood, just from the Facebook group, there are plenty of nice, talented chefs and catering companies available in our neighborhood that we could host wine and food festivals, weddings and events like people talk about, and multitude other types of activities. And if we can eventually get the place fixed up, it was a pretty solid tour destination pre-foreclosure, pre the untimely demise of the previous owner. I for one am not overly afraid of people coming in from outside the neighborhood, from the community, to come in to see our neighborhood, to experience the Plantation House if it were a viable source. It happens for polo matches, pre-COVID, it happened all the time at Carlton Point for weddings and events. I think if we can find a way to make the visitors and help our neighborhood and help our profitability overall, and help us to enable to enhance our amenities without special assessments, then I'm all for it. So,
And Debbie, I gave you a chance, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Name and address.
Okay, this question is from Ron Cecil. And Ron, what's your area?
26 Rose Hill Drive.
Okay. He's shy, so I'm gonna answer it for him, or question, ask it for him. If elected to the board, will you commit to all rules that are part of the rules and regs of Rose Hill?
Jeffrey, we're gonna start with you on this one.
Would you repeat that question, please? I'm not totally sure I understood it.
Sure. If elected to the board, will you commit to enforce all rules that are part of the rules and regs of Rose Hill?
I'm gonna have to qualify my answer. Mostly yes, but rules get outdated. And I would not reinforce an outdated rule.
Tony?
I hate to say it, but I'm a rules guy. So, many years as an umpire, many years in a structured corporate life. So, yes, I think that's absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Ken?
Well, as the opposite of Tony, I'm not really a rules guy. But again, rules do have meaning, and they do have a specific function that the board may have instituted at one point in time. And some of the rules that may have been from previous boards may now be outdated and don't apply to what's going on in this community now. So I would have to look at the rules and regulations, but for the most part, yes, I would probably agree with most of the rules and regulations of the community.
Debbie?
I'm not of a dictatorship mind. I'm more of a, let's work with the people and see what needs to be brought into compliance. You don't know a person's story as to what's going on in their life, and so working with that individual to come into compliance, being more of a team player and being more of, working together kind of mentality versus, here's a fine, let's keep fining them until they come into compliance. Let's find out what's going on with that individual, why they're not in compliance, and then work with them to bring them into compliance.
Dan?
very similarly, I feel that, rules are there for a purpose, right? Rules are there for a reason, to help us all abide and live by a very, I would say, structured life in Rose Hill. I also feel like the rules can be outdated in here, and again, that's part of my stance is, when you look at the changing dynamics of the neighborhood, we're in the changing times. Did we have electric scooters 10 years ago? No. Did we have the things that we have as technology for kids and things to play with? No. So I feel like that would be one area I'd really want to look at is the rules and regs and the bylaws of the neighborhood. Just so it's more reflective of 2021 and also more reflective of the dynamics of the neighborhood. And very similar to Debbie, work with the residents. We're not here to have a crummy yard or a crummy looking house or to do things on purpose. We want to have places to be nice as a whole. So I think it's working with the residents to make sure, hey, we're on the same team here. How do we fix this? Let's get this figured out. And if they're, completely non-compliant, just don't want to work, then adjust from there. So.
Thanks, Dan. Dawn.
Yeah, I would agree with Dan and everyone here. And as a former prosecutor, I am a rules girl. But I think there's been some feedback around what Dan just mentioned in terms of the kids playing. I was joking with someone earlier who said they were here over 26 years, and I said, so it's your fault we don't have sidewalks. And so, back then there was just take your golf carts to the golf and that's it. But things have changed a lot in Rose Hill, and I believe there's an effort to look at our rules to make sure that it is reflective of where we are currently. So I will be supportive of a second review, and perhaps the gentleman would want to be on that committee if one is formed to make sure that our rules and regs are up to date with the current Rose Hill population.
Is there a follow-up?
Ron has a follow-up question. If elected to the board, will you commit to protect all residents' property values?
Go ahead, Jeffrey, you start again.
Of course.
You stole my 2 words. As I mumbled to myself, of course. Then,
I'm gonna use absolutely.
Debbie,
I'll use the same word, absolutely.
Dan,
Without question.
Ron?
Yeah, I mean, the value of my house is tied to the value of your house. So, yes, our interests are aligned.
And Ron wanted me to thank you all for your answers.
Thank you.
Ed, the gentleman in the back? You.
I don't need a microphone, that's okay.
Project.
Okay,
Best
yeah,
you
I
can.
will.
Okay.
My name is Bob Zepsi, I live at 21 Belfair Point Drive. I have a question for each one of you on the board. To what degree are you familiar with, comfortable, and committed to using financial analysis to run the business of our homeowner association? Do you understand balance sheets, income statements, cash flow analysis? And can you give me some examples as to how you've used that in the past, or at least understand it? Thank you.
So the question deals with their understanding of financial analysis.
Yes.
Let's see, where do we want to start with this one? Tony?
Thanks, Jen. So I'm going to tell you, we all have to be in touch with our strengths and our weaknesses, and strengths are not financial for me at all. I have a checkbook. I know how much money I have in my checkbook. I've run organizations where I rely on my treasurer and my finance people. So, and I trust in them. We all have our areas of expertise. This is not one of mine.
Okay. Jeffrey?